Hey guys. So today has been an okay day. So there's been some things that's been going on. I've been like thinking about the relationship and if I should have done things different or if he's gonna call and things like that. And I've been doing a lot of like looking online and research and things like that about like how to manage, after breakups and then, what are like healthy ways of doing things. And what I realized is that, ultimately the relationship had to end because it was no longer safe or healthy for me. I think the thing about it though is that in the relationship I was just doing so much and like I wanted things to be different. So I think the biggest thing about it was I was more I was more thinking of more in terms of like you know the potential of the relationship or the future, because like you know you do all this stuff, you love the person. Like the thing is, I love deeply. So like I'm just like a whole like bundle of energy, and I put like so much effort and this and that, and I make plans, and we can see the future and stuff like that. And so it almost felt like the world was crashing down, but at the same time there was relief there. So like all day I've been kind of just like fighting with myself on like how to navigate, how to just come to terms with being like not in that relationship anymore, or just not talking to him and things. I mean, because we talked every day. Even though we were a long distance, we talked every day, every morning. It was good morning and stuff like that. And we would go to sleep, or he would go to sleep, and we would talk every night. So it's just kind of weird not doing that with someone, and I just have to get used to that, I think. But I feel like as I just continue down this, new chapter and like wanting to express myself and wanting to create and do videos and just, put my focus and effort back into me, things like get better, every day. So ultimately, that's what I'm doing. But I wanted to also talk about how, when you're in relationships, some of the signs that you might see when you're in like a bad relationship, or if you're in a relationship and you just like notice things that are off. um you might want to reevaluate or do things differently, and like there were definitely signs for me. You know in the beginning of our relationship, as I said before in one of my past videos, he was very attentive, wanting to know like why I felt certain things, was always ready to like, hear like my side of the story and then resolve issues. And then towards like the middle, towards the end of the relationship, it just completely changed. And I think when it completely changed, it was just like, it was so sudden. And like you just like every every time I started to like bring things to the table, or bring up issues and things like that, it always turned into like, it always escalated when it really didn't have to. And it always turned into like an argument, or I was always like made to feel like, oh yeah, you're causing problems again, and this is another evening of arguing and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, you know, originally I was just coming to you for, because I felt some kind of way, and you didn't really want to meet me there. And so, like, that was a lot of the relationship, like, towards the middle and the end. And so, yeah, I don't know. But, like, that's one of the signs. It's like when your partner's not, like, willing to, necessarily see you where you are, or just, like, comfort you when you're having issues and you feel certain things, and then they, start making it seem as though, like, you're attacking them. Like, that was definitely one of the biggest problems that I was facing in that relationship. And it was, me constantly going to him about my feelings, and then me feeling like, oh well, I shouldn't have, because now he's upset, now he's angry, now he's this. And it was a lot of that. um Upon, like, doing more research and things, I found out that he was an avoidant attachment style. And so with avoidance, they try to, use space, and, they don't want to really show up when, the going gets tough and things. And that's because they're managing and trying to deal with things, their own problems. And they feel shame, they feel like, they're not doing as much as, you want them to, and things. And in my relationship, that wasn't necessarily the case. It was always kind of like I would feel certain things, and things led up to that. But I would feel certain things, I would bring those to his attention, and then it was, well, there's always a problem there, I'm always causing problems, I'm always doing this. And he would say those things, and I'm like, no, I'm just feeling this certain type of way about something that had happened. And you know can we talk about that? But it never like happened that way. Another sign that you might not be in a you know relationship that is good or healthy is that, well, certainly for when I was experiencing it, I felt like in a lot of that relationship, I felt like I was not good enough. And, he never really, like, he would say, the normal things, oh yeah, you know, of course you're good enough, you're handsome, you're gorgeous, you have a nice body, all these things. But it was always, I never felt good enough because I never felt like I was, a priority to him. I always had to fight for priority. I felt like a lot of that relationship, I always had to fight for things, I felt. And, when you start having to fight for things in your relationship, just like basic things that you should have, like you shouldn't ask your partner to, like, oh yeah, show you affection or show you like certain things that should already be happening in a relationship. And like, I started having to, like, ask for attention, ask for affection, ask for all these things that I wasn't getting, because you know it would get to a point to where, like, he needed space or he didn't feel like talking about certain things. And it was never like him bringing up things that we had to actually talk about. It was always like, it was almost as though, like, if I didn't bring up the issues and things, if I didn't bring up, like, feelings or emotions, if I didn't bring up actual issues that relationships go through, they would have never gotten talked about. So, that's another flag, or, you know, another reason, as to why you might be in not a good relationship. So I that it's funny because like I think about it and I'm relieved that I'm not in that situation anymore and that I am in a better place. And like mental health wise, like, I not really like depressed right now. And my anxiety is like little to none now these days. My anxiety was out the like out the wall when I was in that relationship. My depression was at an all-time low. I had never felt the way that I felt in like years. Like it had been years since I felt that way, and like in that relationship, a lot of the times I felt like super anxiety ridden, super depressed, and like I was trying to navigate that while keeping the relationship, while dealing with everything else that I had to deal with in that relationship. So it was very stressful for me. And so like, when I got out of it, it was a sigh of relief. It was just complete clearness. So, you know, I'll have more to talk about, but I just thought I should share that. Because today's kind of been kind of hard, but not really. It, yeah. But I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Stay beautiful, stay you.